I've got a friend who thinks bluegill fishing is for 12-year-olds, but I'm on the high side of 50 and it's still one of my favorite sports. There's more to it than just dropping in a worm. Take a fly rod, maybe tie your own flies, and it becomes a passion. Find giant gills larger than 9 inches. It isn't easy. You might take a 12-year-old, but trust me, you'll want in on the fun, too. My oldest daughter and I went bluegill fishing this weekend, using float tubes on a hot summer day like we did so often many years ago. And it was a kick. Feeling the zigzag sewing machine runs on long limber rods was great fun. These fish were not trophies, just healthy big males about 8 inches long, which is good fishing in any water. But they were plentiful and hungry. We tried different patterns, catching them on tiny surface poppers and wet flies. Big bluegills will bite flies up to about size 6, but most of the time, smaller size 10 hooks are best for the small mouths of these fish. Stripped in short jerks, the flies imitate aquatic nymphs. During summer heat, bluegills often stay deep during midday. But near dawn and dusk they move into shallows to feed. We found them for the first 3 hours of morning light around shady banks about 3 to 4 feet deep near cover. The water was very clear, so we stayed back to avoid spooking them. Light fluorocarbon tippets help to fool these leader-shy fish. Our best fishing came in classic bluegill niches. They seem to school in horseshoe-shaped woody pockets, and such places usually produced several dozen bluegills before we moved on. Since we were fishing for fun, we released all of our fish. But bluegills are tasty and worth cleaning if you have the time. By mid-morning it was about over. The fish moved out, and by settling flies 6 feet or deeper, we continued to catch them. This is much different than the crazy fishing expected during bluegill spawn, when males guard nests in shallow water and aggressively defend against all intruders. But it's still fast-paced if you find your quarry. Don't let the heat or any friend's comment keep you from trying some of Kansas' most fun angling. Pick up a fly rod and enjoy bluegill fishing at Kansas public lakes, fish, or CFAP waters. A fishing atlas available at vendors or online at the department website can tell you where. I'm Mike Blair for Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism.